Hey guys, what's up? Cobra Axes and Allies here, presenting to you a look at my painted Global War British and ANZAC units for Global 36. It's been a while, but I finally painted up all my pieces, so now I can finally show you some of my Global War pieces to add to Axes and Allies G40. Here's the British militia. Just my militia sculpt I've been using for everybody else. Mountain infantry. This is the Russian infantry sculpt, but thought the helmet kind of looked the part of a British mountain infantry. Here's the British Marines, which have this green kind of camouflage on their standard kind of Brody helmet and British outfit. The paratroopers, I used a British Commando camo, which is a brown, green, and tan camouflage. They look pretty nice. Here's the advanced mech, just one of the self-propelled artilleries that I took the gun out of. This is the motorized infantry, just one of the American Mack trucks that I painted up. Really like the sculpt. The canvas top looks pretty nice. This is the light tank, or tank destroyer. Just an American piece that I used for this. I think it's the Hellcat tank destroyer. Self-propelled artillery, the Priest self-propelled artillery piece. Pretty nice looking piece, nice mold and everything. This is a custom 3D printed Churchill tank. I think it came out pretty nice, along with some of my other 3D printed units. I like the size of this. It's, you know, pretty big and has a good amount of mass to it too. Here's the armored car. I forget what model, but this is supposed to represent a real-life British armored car variant, even though I used a Japanese sculpt. Here's the Stuart light tank. Just an American light tank I decided to use. This is a custom unit that I've added to the game. It's a basically like a pre-war fighter, which is like leftover planes from World War II. It would kind of represent the Fairley Seafox, or a Fairley biplane dive bomber, and it's basically move 2, and then it's kind of like a torpedo boat destroyer but a plane. So move 2, attack and defend on 1. Yeah, and this will start on a British carrier. Here is the British jet fighter, just an American jet fighter that I decided to use. Really like this piece, just a interesting looking jet. This is the American medium bomber that I decided to use. Another nice looking piece. It's kind of an odd plane with the huge engines on it. Here is the heavy bomber. I really like this kind of candy cane style striped camouflage I got on this thing. These are the torpedo boat destroyer and coastal submarine. A lot of the other nations have these, just leftovers from World War I. And speaking of that, here is a coastal defense battleship, which is basically leftover kind of dreadnought class battleships from World War I. And this attacks like a cruiser and defends like a destroyer. Just a World War I dreadnought that I use. It's a huge piece that I found out once I got them shipped to me. Here is the attack transport, just a 1941 British transport that I used. The battle cruiser, or wait, no, this is the light cruiser, or yeah, battle cruiser, sorry. North Carolina class battleship. This is a 1941 destroyer that I'm using as a light cruiser. Yeah. This is my light carrier or escort carrier, just a American type of carrier. And here's my heavy carrier. This is another 1941 sculpt that I'm using for my Allied heavy carriers. Yeah. This is the King George V fast battleship. Really nice looking part, you know, with all the painted windows that I have on it. And here's the heavy battleship. This is just the Iowa class battleship that I'm using. Yeah, another nice looking part. And here's the transport plane. just the standard transport plane that I'm using for the other allied nations. And this is my seaplane. And I'm just using the Japanese seaplane from America, just because it costs a lot less than the HBG, like 3D printed seaplanes. But it's a nice looking part and everything. So off to ANZAC. This is my ANZAC militia. Again, just the standard militia sculpt that I'm using for this. Next up is my ANZAC Marines, and they've just got this dark blue kind of British uniform. Here's the Mountain and Airborne. I just decided to use the same unit just because my armored car. I've always liked this ANZAC color scheme that I chose, the brown with the green and then like a silver dry brush. It looks pretty nice on all of these units that I have. And a lot of these ANZAC units and most of the Commonwealth nations have the same sculpt for all their units, most of them. So a lot of these are British units. A lot of the Canadians use British units and everything, or American units. But you know, it's cool to look at them in a different light with this different camouflage. And just for some diversity, I use the Russian truck for their motorized infantry. But this is a nice looking part. It's a 3D printed Grant medium tank, but I'm using it for my heavy tank, and it's got this really cool desert camouflage that the Commonwealth nations used when fighting the Italians. And here's their Air Force, and I really like these. Like I've always liked the ANZAC color scheme for the planes that I chose. Like they've probably got one of my most favorite color schemes for like land and air units, with this white underside and everything. One of my favorite nations in general that I painted up. Really nice sculpts and everything. Really nice color scheme that I chose. And this is the seaplane. And here's my light cruiser and heavy cruiser. And again, like I really like the camouflage scheme that I chose for all of these ANZAC ships. Just looks really nice, and yeah. So I hope you enjoyed my look at my British and ANZAC forces. Cobra out.